Men, we have a tendency to be lopsided. For example, there's some guys that are way too lopsided, or I should say, they're focused solely on playing and having fun. Now, that's not what real men do. Men love to have fun, yes, but a man that spends all of his time and his money away from his family and playing all the time, he is not fulfilling his role of what God calls for him to be as a Christian man who is to lead his wife and his children. He's unbalanced. Or you have a guy who works all the time, and I love to work. It doesn't matter what day it is, I'm going to be working on something. I just love to work. And so I can become very unbalanced in work because I love to work, whether it's physical work, whether it's building something, whether it's hard physical labor, or it's studying or writing or whatever whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I love to work, and so do many of you men. But here's the problem. We can neglect other things in our life and become unbalanced, although we might be good providers financially. We're not maybe necessarily meeting some more important needs that our wife might have, like her emotional needs, because we're not great sometimes at that. Her physical needs. So we're meeting maybe financial needs, but what about our kids? Our kids oftentimes take the short end of the stick because sometimes we men think, well, we just need to give our kids a better life than the life that we have. So if they can have X, Y, or Z that you didn't have, somehow you think that you've actually made their life better. Now, true, on one hand, it is nice that they can enjoy some of those things, but they need you, Dad, to be a part of their life. In other words, they need to see you in the stands at a ball game. They need to hear your voice encouraging them. So they shoot a nice shot and they make a shot. They hit a ball out in left field and they make it to second base, or maybe a home run, or they're playing shortstop and they actually make a good stop and throw the guy out at first, or whatever sport it is. It doesn't matter. Your kids need to hear your voice cheering for them in the stands, and they need to see you physically present in their life, not just at games, but also at home. And we have a tendency to work. Hey, we love to work, but listen, there comes a time that you can become so unbalanced in your life that you'll neglect these very important things. So what is our goal here? Our goal is for us to be balanced in our life, to be balanced. And that's not easy, man, because those of you that have ever, done much weighing things on scales, whether it's a set of cattle, they come in and you've got a whole bunch of cattle on the scale, and you're weighing those, or you're weighing a truck with feed in it, or you're just weighing yourself, right? You can see how easy it is to be unbalanced. And you don't have to move that slide very far or add very many pounds to get that thing to balance. But it doesn't take much for that thing to be unbalanced whatsoever. And so we need to be the one running the slide on the scale. And what we're seeking for is we're just seeking for that arrow out there on the end of the scale to just be plummeting, to be plumbed in right there where it's floating between. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. It's just sitting there ginning. It's floating, and we've got things balanced in our life. And I know this isn't easy, guys, but we must strive to do this. So as I mentioned to you, it's going to appear as you read Scripture that it's unbalanced in order for us to balance the scales. And this is the unbalanced aspect of what we see. God says, in everything in your life, you seek my kingdom first. You seek my righteousness first. Now, see, that seems like that's unbalanced, doesn't it? Because if you were to seek elk hunting first before everything else in your life, trust me, your wife's going to let you know how unbalanced that is, okay? No, but Scripture tells us that if you and I want to truly have a balanced life, that we have to seek Christ, His kingdom, first. In other words, put Christ first in our life, that He is the focus of our life. Here is the amazing thing about how God's economy works. It's so different than the world. What we find here in Scripture is that when we get our vertical relationship correct, if He truly is the focus of our life, if He's preeminent in all things in our life, do you know that when our relationship with God is right, that it will absolutely, completely affect every aspect of our life? And what it does is when God is preeminent in my life, as He should be, because He is God, then everything below that begins to find balance on the scales. In other words, when my relationship with God is right, did you know that it's far more likely that my relationship that I have with my wife will be right? And if my relationship with God is right, and I'm living under His authority, and I'm living according to His word, and Christ is my head, and I'm living in submission to the headship of Christ, it's amazing how my relationship with my kids then will find balance. And not only that, then my work, it finds balance because I understand my role has multifaceted things, but what God's called me to do as the man cannot be accomplished in balance unless He is the focus of my life. And God will bring balance to my life if I will put my utmost focus and my desire upon Him. All things underneath that then are able to find balance in my life, whether it's work, whether it's enjoyment, whether it's friendships, or my wife and I and our relationship, or my children or my grandchildren. It helps bring that entire base for a balance to be found in my life.